So imagine you're overweight and you're doing everything that you could possibly do to try to get the pounds off, to get your weight under control. You're following all the advice. You're taking this diet and you get a few results, you yo-yo back. You try that diet and you're trying everything and nothing is working. That was me at 294 pounds. But then I figured it out. And when I did, I went to 192 pounds. Over 100 pounds weight loss. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I discovered and the mistakes that I made so that you don't repeat those same mistakes. So in my 20s, I remember when I would pick up a few pounds and I was doing a lot of fasting. I would do a 3-day fast, which was commonplace with me. And I would drop that weight right back off. No big deal. But then came the age where that didn't work like it used to. Those pounds didn't drop so fast. In fact, they kept going up. The scale is going in the wrong direction to the point where I found myself at 294 pounds, the heaviest weight I've ever been, and I had no idea what to do about it. So I did what most people do, diet. So I tried this diet. I tried that diet. I tried this advice. I tried that advice. Nothing worked. I would get a few results over here, but then I would yo-yo right back. None of this stuff worked. But then one day I showed up at my doctor. I was visiting the doctor once every 3 months. And he told me that I was a 6.6 A1C. And that's when the reality hit. It was no longer optional to try stuff. I needed to figure it out. And so I remember seeing a video by Dr. Eric Berg, and it was what happens if you stop eating sugar for 14 days. This was probably a year or more earlier. And that video came back, and I went and looked it up. And I watched that video again from start to finish. And so I told my wife, you know what? I'm going to just stop eating sugar for 3 days. I was going to go 3 full days with no sugar, none, period, full stop, no sugar. And so I did that, and I got some results. So I turned that 3 into 7, and in 7 days, I lost 10 pounds. That's when the light bulb went off. And so I immediately turned that into 30 days. And in 30 days, I lost 22 pounds. And I had my son videotape me at day 7, stepping onto the scale, day 14, stepping onto the scale, all the way through day 30. And on day 30, when I stepped on the scale, I had lost 22 pounds in 30 days. That was the turning point for me. And so I went on a mission to understand why this worked. I wanted to know why. Because it's one thing to know what, but I wanted to know why. And what I discovered was interesting. The first interesting thing that I discovered is why none of these diets that I had tried worked. Why none of them worked. And why they didn't work is because they don't address the problem. Now, I want to give you a backdrop for this. When the food pyramid was being developed back in the 70s and 80s, it was around the 1990s that it was finalized and it became the gold standard for the way we consume food. And what we were told to eat 6 to 11 servings of grains, pastas, breads, cereals, all of which are processed foods. And it's not that we were told to eat these foods, it's why we shouldn't be eating these foods. It's because they spike insulin. And so the more I learned, the more I become aware that it is insulin that is the linchpin. It is the insulin that's causing the problems. And why insulin causes the problems is because insulin, which is nicknamed the fat storage hormone, is the facilitator of fat storage. Because when insulin is elevated or spiked, its job is to get that glucose out of your bloodstream. And so what does it do? It stores it. So I wanted to understand the full scope of the biology of how fat storage, thus weight gain, happens. And it was understanding the biology that gave me the advantage. And at the end of the day, what causes weight loss and weight gain is the hormones. So the aha moment for me was that it's not about the number of calories you eat. It's about the hormones that what you eat trigger. That's what matters. And once you learn to consume food that does not spike your blood glucose and thus trigger insulin, now your body will tap into your fat stores and burn your stored fat. And so now I want you to understand this timeline. So when I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, 6.6, and there's some technical back and forth within that concept, but I was a 6.6 A1C. And my doctor prescribed me, I was prescribed Mounjaro and I was prescribed metformin. And so I'm taking the injection shots and I'm taking metformin to control my A1C, to get it back down. And so what Mounjaro does, the injection shot, they all work the same, is they slow your gastric emptying so you feel fuller longer. And it worked. And over about an 18-month period, I lost 50 pounds. I dropped all the way down to 244 pounds when I discovered not eating sugar. So let's do the math. 18 months, I lost 50 pounds taking the injection, but eating the same foods that spike insulin. But then I cut out the foods that spike insulin and I lost 22 pounds in 30 days. 18 months, 30 days, to my lowest weight at 192, which is 52 pounds in less than 5 months. And so why all of these diets fail is because they're focused on the food you eat and they completely ignore the hormones that's really in control. It's the hormones. Food is just a resource. That's it. It's just a resource. Once you consume it, the hormones determine what's done with that resource. When you bring wood into your house to burn in the fireplace, the wood is just a resource. It has no control over what's done with it once it comes into your house. Calories is just a resource. It has no control over what's done with it once it comes into your house, once it's consumed. That's the difference. Now, what's the mistake that I made that I don't want you to make? The mistake that I made is that my health is steady declining while it's waiting for me to figure it out. My health is not going to stop and say, okay, well, I'm just going to stay here until you figure it out. And so for years, my health is steady declining while I figure it out, to the point where there's no option. You need to do something and you need to do it now. And so what I don't want you to do is spend all of this time with your health declining, trying to figure it out. If it doesn't work, change lanes. Try something else. If there's no proof behind what you're being told to do works, don't do it. And so what I've learned over time since this discovery is how my body works, so that nobody will be able to tell me what's good for me and what's not. I know what's good for me and what's not. You learn your body. And the only way that you can do that is by understanding how your body works, to the point where I can step on a scale and see a 3-pound weight gain, turn around and look back over the days, and I can know exactly what happened that caused it. Exactly. And because now I understand it, I know exactly what to do to get those 3 pounds off. When you get to that point, you're in control. And that's the place you need to be. In control. So my advice would be to start with the same thing I started with. Cut the sugar for 7 days. That's it. No sugar for 7 days. I spent decades consuming unhealthy foods. 7 days is a small sacrifice. See it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. See it for yourself. No sugar, which means no soda, no candy, no cookies, none of that for 7 days. Now, I eat all of that stuff now, but I make it. And I make it with clean ingredients. I make it with ingredients that's not going to spike my blood glucose and trigger insulin. Now, I cover all of this and much more in the MAP 30 Challenge program. You can find the link for that in the description. I hope that helps. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.